From the Smith Center in Chapel Hill, this is TarHillIllustrated.com, or if you're watching on our YouTube channel, Tar Heel Illustrated. I'm THI staff writer Jacob Turner, and joining me, as he always does, our very own publisher, Andrew Jones. And Andrew, just about 30 minutes removed from Hubert Davis's introductory press conference, as he is the next head basketball coach at the University of North Carolina, right here on the Roy Williams court. They switched the stage up a little bit on us. They threw us a little bit of a curveball when it came in.
A little bit.
Yeah, they switched it around on us. But this is kind of just going to be initial reactions, kind of our thoughts on how it went down. And AJ, first thing that kind of stood out to me, and we were talking a little bit off camera, I just thought that was about as good as an introductory press conference can get. I don't really know from a Carolina fan's perspective what else you could really ask for in terms of what Hubert said, some of the lines he dropped. You know, a little bit of emotion in there as well. I know Hubert's admitted he's an emotional guy before. We saw that. Kind of reminded me of Roy Williams in some ways with how emotional Roy can get about stuff. But overall, I think my initial takeaway is that was just a really good introduction to who Hubert Davis is, and I think what he's looking to do as the next head coach at North Carolina. How
good was his first press conference? Some people on our staff may have been questioning the hire, and I'm looking at my phone because I take notes. Lots of notes. Yeah. And I put a little, like 8 minutes, 9 minutes, meaning like how far into the press conference it is. So I kept looking at my phone to get the timing. And I see a couple people on our staff about halfway through saying, I'm sold. They made the right hire. Good
guys
deal.
Who were critical of it.
Let's roll, guys.
So like that,
so it was impressive, really impressive. He said everything you could want him to say. He said it with genuine passion, believability, and also humble.
Yeah, very humble.
And which is really interesting because I think that's one of the hallmarks of this program is that they know they're really good here. They know their way works, otherwise this family wouldn't exist.
Yeah, exactly. All these banners wouldn't exist.
This building wouldn't exist the way it is. The Carolina family wouldn't be such a thing if there wasn't so much faith in the family way works. And that's one of the things that he actually hit on. When people asked him about, well, what style are you going to play? You were in the NBA for a long time. You were with Pat Riley, and you were with Larry Brown and Don Nelson. How much of that are you going to take and implement? And he kept going back to the foundation. The foundation that Dean Smith said. And really, you could go back to Frank McGuire, because Dean learned a lot from Frank McGuire. He let, everyone's talking about Gonzaga maybe going 32-0. The first 32-0 was here. Yeah. On this campus, the 57 Tar Heels. That was Frank McGuire's team. Dean came in a year later, and this stuff started growing at that point, became the Carolina family that we all know now. And that's what Hubert is laced in. He has taken that with him wherever he's gone professionally, and he's incorporated the things that make him someone who is viable for this job. And not just this one, a 12-year NBA career, someone who was excellent on ESPN when he was there.
I used to love watching
him. And now he's going to have a chance to do something he hadn't done before, but he's always been proving people wrong. And that's the other thing. He's fueled with the Carolina family confidence. He's also driven by the standard. And that's why I think this has a really good chance of being successful, because he knows what he's up against. He's up against an amazing history that sometimes, and we've talked about this before, Jacob, players come in here and sometimes it's kind of awesome to have to play to this standard. You got those words on the front, you got those colors, it's iconic. Everything in here is iconic. And sometimes they struggle, but this guy's been living and breathing this stuff since he was 4 years old. Yeah. This is who he is. The Carolina family is personified by Hubert Davis's life, how he comports himself with other people, how he goes about his professional world, where Bubba called him an overachiever. Not a big fan of overachiever, because if you can achieve it, you can achieve it. Yeah, exactly. I think what Hubert has done is he's constantly hit his potential. So what is his potential here? I think it's considerable. There are a lot of things going for him, and if you saw the way he reached out to Walker Kessler when Mark Armstrong asked about that, that's a little fire. I asked Kenny Williams afterward, what kind of coaches? These are, where is that level of fire? Where is that level when he's pleased you? How does it differ? And he says, it differs. When he needs to show you fire, he shows you fire. When he needs to show you love, he shows you love. I think that's what we saw up here today.
I would agree, yeah.
So if you want insight into what the next North Carolina basketball coach is all about, for an hour this afternoon, you got as much as you could possibly ask for.
Agreed. There was a couple moments that stood out to me. I know the Walker Kessler was one of them. I think the biggest moment that stood out to me was kind of early on in the press conference. I don't remember if it was I don't remember who asked the question or whatnot, or if it was during his introductory press conference or his introductory statement. But he kind of came out and said, Carolina's going to show up. We're going to show up in warm-ups. I'm going to show up in games. I know I'm butchering it as a direct quote.
He broke it down to every possession.
Yeah, and it was not. It wasn't really necessarily what he was saying. It was how he said it. You could kind of see that fire, like you mentioned. His tone kind of changed a little bit. You could see how passionate he was about how he was saying and how much it meant to him. So I think just in terms of what we saw today all around, really impressive stuff from Hubert Davis. I think, like you mentioned, some people on our staff kind of just completely flipping their mindset on the guy. And I think that's a great example of what this press conference was like. And, just I'm excited and looking forward to kind of seeing how things play out, going to the first press conference with Hubert and under the bowels of the Smith Center when it's just a handful of us in person. I know it's going to be a lot crazier now that it's Hubert's first. But
he's going to laugh a lot.
Yeah, exactly. I think
he likes to laugh.
It's going to be different. Yeah, I mean, the amount of times he did after the press conference where he's just chatting it with guys around here and just cracking up, it happens all the time. And we saw that a lot on ESPN for people who used to follow him.
Saw it last night?
Yeah, saw it last night as well. So I think overall just a really impressive press conference from him, and really enjoyed it too. It was a cool experience for everybody here, and you could just feel for it to go from, like you mentioned, Roy Williams now to Hubert Davis. 18 years Roy's here. You got Dean before that, Matt Doherty, Bill Guthridge, all that kind of stuff. And now to see a new legacy at Carolina start, pretty cool experience for anybody that was here.
To the beginning of your point, I've talked to a decent number of guys that played for Dean, and one of the consistent things that they said was Dean was the best they ever knew, one of the best they ever knew at putting his arm around you, hugging you when you need a hug, and also really good at a minute later giving you a little kick in the rear.
That's what a great coach is. And
he did it with respect. There are ways to inspire athletes to go above and beyond what they think they can do. Part of it is that arm around you. Part of it is that love. And I'm not trying to be too mushy here. Trust me, this is the kind of stuff that happens in the really successful programs and franchises. But that person also knows how to encourage and motivate and maybe shake the foundation a little bit so a guy can see that he's wrong and the coach is right, but they do it respectfully. It's not demeaning. There are coaches that have been demeaning and are demeaning. A lot of them can be.
Yeah.
I've seen it. We've documented it. I've documented it in previous jobs. But the thing I got from Hubert today is that he's going to be a guy that knows how to do that. Now go back to Kenny Williams. We've got a video on our YouTube channel of the interview with Kenny. He's experienced it. He's experienced the love, and he's experienced a little swift kick in the rear by Hubert Davis. And that's kind of one of the things I took from it as well.
Definitely,
He's got those human qualities, those relationship qualities that if you're together for 6 months from the start of practice to the end of the season, you've got to have that element.
Definitely.
If you don't have that element, then it's not going to work. And he alluded to one of the issues maybe with this year's team being so young because they didn't have an opportunity to be so close with these guys, to hug, to eat all their meals together, to spend really close-knit time together. That makes a team a family. They use the term family. That's where it comes from. I think he kind of articulated that there was a little bit of a disconnect. He didn't know Caleb Love as well. He didn't know Day'Ron Sharp as well because they didn't have that closeness, because they weren't allowed to because of COVID. And it was such a young team. So if you want to put a few exclamation marks on what went wrong this year, Hubert kind of laid it out there today.
Yeah, he did.
But it's not going to be a problem next year. It's not going to be a problem when the kids come back here in a couple of weeks. April 12th is when they begin their off-season workouts. So I think that will be a component that we will watch, the fans will watch, and we'll see early on if he's really good at it. And from everything that I've seen and the people I've talked to, I have no reason to believe that whatever he does, X's and O's, he's going to be really good at that part of being a head coach.
Exactly. One last thing I want to point out that was one of the coolest parts of the press conference to me. You remember when he told the story about Garrison Brooks, what he was doing in his hometown of Lafayette, Alabama, how Garrison had come to him, really passionate about racial injustice, social justice, and all that stuff, and basically has been supplying his school with supplies. The elementary school he went to, same teacher he had, with supplies. Thought that was really awesome, not only from Garrison Brooks' perspective, but the fact that Garrison came to Hubert's office and Hubert said, okay, let's do something about this. Let's see if we can make something happen. I think that also speaks to the kind of guy that Hubert is and what I think he's probably going to try to embody in the players that he brings in.
You know what I was thinking when Hubert was telling that story? That's Dean Smith.
Yeah, all over it, man.
That's Dean Smith
all
personified. One of the interesting things about having Hubert here is that he played for Dean, coached under Roy. Well, you're going to see the immense qualities that both men brought to the table. You're going to see them through Hubert, and I believe it's genuine. There's no reason to stand here and say, you know what, I'm kind of suspect about that stuff, because he already told us a living, breathing story through Garrison Brooks. And think about what Garrison takes from his experience here. It's a lot more about just dribbling a ball and putting up shots, doing this stuff and playing to the crowd. There's so much more to the experience. He went over that when somebody asked him about recruiting. Well, he wants guys that are coming here and they want to serve when they get here. They don't want to be served; they want to serve. I think that's the kind of program he's going to run. And it sounds an awful lot like Dean Smith.
It does.
And it sounds a lot like Roy Williams. And I think that's some of the things that Roy has struggled with in recent years is because the shift in where players kind of with the one and done and just sort of the players are always right and never wrong. We got to a point now where if you criticize a player's motive or a decision that they make, people blast you for it.
Yeah, you can just leave now,
So
go play somewhere else.
So Hubert's kind of taking an old school look at this, old school approach. It'll be interesting to see how he does on a trail. We cover recruiting extensively. I cannot wait for David Sisk to start pinning some pieces as we get a couple months down the road to kind of get an idea of what Hubert's message is and how that message is being received. I think it'll be received well enough by the right kids. You could only have 13 on scholarship. So it doesn't matter if 1,500 don't want to come to your school. It matters if you can get 13 that are good and will embody what he wants this program to represent. If you get them, he's going to have a lot of success.
Agreed. I think it's a good place to wrap it up, AJ. Like I said, overall, really impressive stuff from Hubert Davis today.
Absolutely.
I think if you're a Carolina fan, you're feeling really optimistic about where this can go. And, yeah, it's going to be exciting times to cover, especially. So,
looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. A new dawn is in Chapel Hill, officially, with Hubert Davis. But a lot of connections to the Carolina family, so going to be a fun one moving forward. I've been Jacob Turner. He's been Andrew Jones. I got to plug this real quick. He just mentioned David Sisk. AJ and David did a fantastic podcast, kind of going in depth on Hubert Davis and UNC and all the stuff that went along with it last night. After this video is done, definitely go watch that because it was phenomenal. So
I also talked to George Lynch and Mitch Kupchak.
Yeah.
Those videos are on our channel as well.
Yeah, we'll have those videos.
The old timers are going to like that.
Yeah, Kenny Williams too. So
Kenny Williams.
You even got a young guy in there for the other people. So as always, guys, if you enjoyed the video, like it, share it, subscribe to our channel. See you guys in the next one. Thanks.